Hi, everybody. This is Help Me Be Me, an episode I'm calling Divine Feminine Energy and Getting in the Flow of Art. And just before I even go into this episode, I'm talking in terms of archetypes or poles. I'm not talking about literally like gender when I say feminine energy. So if you think about it as like a yin and a yang, that's kind of the way I'm using this word. So, this is a reflection episode to invite you to be more present and welcome in creativity and inspiration. So, I think of that as kind of a winter practice because it's when we're setting the stage for um, when we are reborn, when we have new creative births. And so, this is like our restorative hibernation kind of stage where we are receptive, when we are allowing. And in a nutshell, what this is really about is creating balance in your person. If you are a person who has gotten into a state of muscling or controlling or forcing the way you want something to happen in your life, and I mean that I'm focusing on this on creative goals in particular. I personally have been out of balance and I've been trying to correct that balance. I've been way more in the masculine energy, quote unquote, of muscling and goal setting and being very active in creating. And like that energy, when it gets too dominant, is really, it can deplete you and it can really remove the other side of the balance, which is, um, what inspires and ignites in you, it's that receptive energy. And so, what I'm working on, what I'm inviting you to work on, is inviting that second half, that balance that is calm, serene, and received in the form of insight and inspiration, the way an idea will dawn on you. Hold on, I'm going to kill a mosquito real quick. Got it. Okay. This will hopefully bring you a sense of serenity and create more balance in your life as we go through this stage of like winter, the end of the year, and we move toward our new year. So, in your energy and also in your perspective, I think right now there is a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty. And when there is a pervasive sense of fear, when there's a pervasive language of chaos and uncertainty, it affects us on a macro level and also on a personal micro level. Like the way we interact with other people, it becomes an undercurrent of the frame by which all information is digested. So everybody is approaching every conversation or every topic from this place of, oh, well, shit's hitting the fan, we're in chaos. But that too is a choice. That is a perspective that we can curate and unplug from and step back from and choose to be in a different perspective. We can change the energy of our life. We can change the perspective of our life by stepping back and really becoming more of a beginner's mind and really just allowing ourselves to balance. You to have from this episode is in the face of chaos, in the face of fear, the spiritual path is in neutrality. And by that I mean being rooted in non-reactivity, in staying present, staying embodied, and just moving through as if all information is objective information. As soon as we become triggered by that fear and we're reactive, we become desperate. We swing from pole to pole. So if you are in an industry that is constricting, if you're in a place where you feel a lot of upheaval, and you're reacting to a lot of the fear and the panic and the chaos that is outside of you, try to embody a state of neutrality. And by that, I mean just come into the now, witness what is around you in this very moment right now, and move through what needs your attention, one thing at a time. We don't need to spring into all of the hypotheticals because, quite frankly, they change every day. They change dramatically every day. So many new sets of information come to us every day. So start with neutrality. The other thing I really wanted to highlight is for us to get our mojo back, for us to feel the joy of creation and feel effective and really channel all of our power to get into that vein of power, we have to see ourselves as effective. We have to like build that momentum. We have to start to build momentum. So the other thing I wanted to do to focus on is being effective, very, very effective in one isolated area in your life. Doesn't matter what it is, but using yourself, using your soul, using your creativity, your ability to make change and to see change manifest in your actions, that is what we want to start with. So, creating that flow, feeling our own power, feeling our own agency and what we can make is such a gratifying, inspiring, um, juicy, fun experience. So, whatever it is in your life where you can make an impact and you can feel, see your work, your creative work in your environment, whatever it is, that's your assignment today, is just to think about how can I be so me in some very controllable, accessible area of my life. So, with that, there are three parts to this episode: the what, the why, and the how, the tools. So, part one, the what. What in this case is what is happening. I mean, I don't know if you're a creative person, but if you are, right now we have a lot of roller coasters happening and a lot of uncertainty. And so we are reflecting that in our own energies and our own projections and in the way that we create, in the way that we think about creativity, in the way we process our energy. It's like so much of what's happening is really affecting people's creative energy. And when we are in this place of fear and reactivity, what happens is we start to constrict. We start to become polar. We become black and white and fear-based and reactive. And as soon as you're in that reactive energy, that's when we start to speak based on other people's perspectives. We stop speaking from like a safe place, a safe embodied place, and we start speaking from we're using scripts from other people. So we get out of we get out of alignment. You start to say one pole or another pole, that things become sharper, louder, more opposite, more black and white. So, in that state of fear, in that state of reactivity, what happens is we start to resist the flow of the universe. We're separating from the flow of the universe. And if you are in that state energetically, what happens is you constrict in your own ability to create. You constrict in your own ability to actualize something beautiful because we're already constricted. We're already in that fear state. So you might start to feel like you're in a dead end. You might start to feel creatively frustrated. You might start to like hyper focus on a spot, like on a goal, and you say it has to be this or nothing. I have to have it this way. I'm going to try this 10 times harder. Instead of allowing and stepping back and being in that trust state, we end up being like, super, super type A toward a goal. So all of that energy of fear and constriction, it kind of like restricts our ability to trust and be in the creative flow. And that is when we start to base a lot of decisions that we make, and a lot of what we do off of uh, feelings, reactions to other people versus coming into a present, embodied, non-judgmental state of trust is the best word I have for it. It's just being in that trusting energy of like, I'm safe, I trust. And when we're in that kind of objective observer state, that's when we can best ride the wave. We're in that non-judgmental state. That's when we can endure the wave and it doesn't like break our bodies because we're flexible, we're moving with it. As with all change, Our perspective is a huge part of what decides our success in any outcome. All personal growth, how you approach the stage of personal growth is the largest predictor of your success. And by that, I mean, if you walk into a situation and you say, I'm going to have an open mind, I'm going to try my best, I am very skeptical, but I'm going to give it a shot. That is how you become a success, having that mindset versus if you walk into it thinking this is totally fucked. This is not gonna work. Like if you can't walk into it with that state of openness, your chances of success are much reduced. Part two, the why. Why am I doing this episode? To create balance, to create more grounding, more clarity. And because I'm so much about energy now, I'm so focused on energy and the energy that someone else brings to you, a situation brings to you, that we bring to a situation. When we are balanced in our energy, our perspective is so much clearer. And we really do need both energies in our life. We need the masculine and the feminine. Whatever words you want to give to that, if those words feel weird to you, I'm just talking about an energy of allowing and inviting, and that energy of being active and muscling and being goal oriented. And whatever archetypal symbols you want to pair with those two energies, that's really what I'm talking about here. We need that active energy that's very type A. We also need that receptive, allowing energy. And in the balance of those two things, wisdom, creativity, um, like ultimate actualization of your goals and your dreams, that's how that arrives. We need to have both in equal measure. And so I know for myself, I've gotten into this like super active energy of like doing and doing and doing, doing. And I'm now really being deliberate about creating that allowing energy. And wherever you are right now in your life, know that your intention creates the outcome. So I just want to pause right there and invite you to set an intention based on your own energy. Think about your own balance in your life currently. Where would you like to go? Where are you feeling your balance is currently in your life? What would you like it to be as you walk toward the new year? Give you a moment to think about that. Okay, the tools. All right, the first tool is called check the friction. When you are in a state of feeling stunted, feeling stuck, feeling like you want to head toward a target, you don't know how to get there, your energy changes and you get smaller, you get more clouded, less clear, less powerful. And so this is a method of getting clear with yourself, clearing out the energy, getting all the gunk out. And so, quite simply, what I want to ask you to do is ask yourself where you are out of alignment. Where is your energy not true to what you think? Where is your energy in what you're doing not aligned with what you feel? And this is an exercise of being really honest with yourself. And by that, I mean, like, you might be walking into a room and being like, I don't really want to be here. Or you might be promoting something and you're like, I don't really like this thing. Or you might be yelling a lot of things that you don't really believe. Or whatever it is, I just want you to do a scan in your life of like, where is my energy not true? And just process it. Just write it down, write about it. And then the second half of this tool is I want you to write yourself mantras for those misalignments. And by that, I mean like thinking through what your rules are for yourself in this area. Like, what is true for you? What do you believe? And how can you be very, very clear in just remembering in your body how you choose to conduct yourself in this specific area? And I mean that for things related to professionalism and creativity. Like, as creative people, we are very, very driven by truth and very driven by an inner spirit, an expression of an inner spirit. And as soon as commerce comes into that, as soon as work, finance, job, that sphere of energy comes into that, it creates like kind of a misalignment in itself. We have to negotiate that constantly. We have to balance that constantly. We have to see where our heart lies in so many nuanced situations. And we have to negotiate like, what is the truth for me? What do I believe? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And how can I stay completely authentic? So, writing the mantras is really like a nice, pure way to reinstate in your own mind's eye, this is what I believe. These are my rules for myself. This is how I conduct myself in these moments, in these like conflicting situations. There's always going to be a conflict of drive when it comes to something that is coming from your own personal self-expression. Um, I hope all that made sense. For me, I'm doing a lot of these little mantras for myself because it's very hard to navigate dramatic upheaval and change. Like if you're in a creative industry, if you have a creative job of any sort, if there's a lot of dramatic change, you'll be kind of swept away by like the different currents or the different motivations coming from all different directions. So it's really helpful to just decide for yourself, this is what I believe. This is how I choose to navigate based on these circumstances, just so you have your own rule book. Don't be guided by outside chaos, outside priorities. Be guided by your own beliefs. All right, the next tool is called Grandma Time. And this is based on my grandma specifically. So if you have a different kind of grandma, this tool, don't use that frame of reference, just use my grandma. My grandma's house was like, you walk in, there's the sound of a clock ticking, and it's very calm, it's very quiet. You can hear the creaks of the floorboards. There's like natural light, super calm, serene energy. And my grandma would be reading, maybe making soup from scratch, sitting in a sunroom, super chill, spacious energy. And we get to have that too. We should have grandma time too. We don't. We're so overscheduled. We're so occupied by cell phones. And so this tool is really to create that spaciousness for yourself. I now have a schedule that is booked to the minute, and that is in many ways a version of not being live at all. So, can you remember a time in your life when you had grandma time? You had access to that? That is luxury. That is a peaceful, luxurious life. And you can have that for yourself today, right now. It's free, but you have to create it and you have to choose to make it. You have to choose to not have your phone. You have to choose to have moments in your life where they're unscheduled. They're just silent and there's nothing to rush you anywhere. It's funny because your body will feel like, "Huh, but no, I have to do some, I have to go. There's something I'm supposed to be doing." There's always something you should be doing, but that doesn't mean you should be doing it. The luxury, the peace, the groundedness that grandma time creates is life-changing. It is so spiritually profound. And part of this energy that I'm trying to create in this episode is in that spaciousness of I'm just going to allow, I'm going to witness, I'm going to be changed by something outside of me, and I have to make room for that to happen. I'm not going to force it. It's not going to be scheduled by me. It's not going to be dictated by me. I'm not going to be scripting out what the thing is. I'm just going to witness it. I'm going to allow it. I'm going to be present in these moments. It's very almost counterintuitive. It's like against your muscle memory if you've been like me and you've been just sprinting like crazy. So the second half of this tool, a 10-minute ritual. I would like you to create a 10-minute ritual for yourself to practice every single day, that is just a gesture, more than anything, a gesture to you from you that is just, I'm here. I'm here to be present. I'm here to be not rushed. And I'm here to be in a receptive state. And I'm being very deliberate about this new intention in my life. This is me telling me visually, I'm being honest in this intention. So I'm going to carve out 10 minutes every day. My personal ritual, if you want to use mine, is hibiscus tea stirred clockwise with a little bit of sugar in it and then just sipped. That's it. Never had hibiscus tea. That's the part of the ritual that's just being done for me and my like psyche. All, the subconscious, the unconscious, the second self, the inner self, the creative self loves rituals, loves to be recognized and acknowledged through actions that are performed just for that inner self to believe you, that you mean it. So it does move mountains. When you start to practice something in a physical form, it moves mountains in how you feel and how you perceive yourself. It's not just frivolous, it changes who you are. All right, the next tool, an intention. I wanted to invite you to set an intention, a light intention for the year to come, just a broad one. And I think if you have nothing else that comes to mind, a very simple intention would be to be guided by choice versus reaction. Just to be able to move through your life in a conscious way where I'm actively choosing from myself versus I am at the mercy of my life. I am reacting to things outside of me. That tiny little intention is such a different life experience. And if we can just walk into the year with that very simple desire, to have a life guided by choice, to be in a life that is balanced, to have the luxury to choose uh, what will give us the greatest outcome. So that is the tool. I invite you to set an intention, a very broad one, and if nothing more, just being able to be guided by choice, be conscious, to be conscious in choice. All right, the next tool, the super love flow. This is a reflection exercise of sorts. If we are in that constricted, fearful, stuck energy, in part, it's because we are forcing things and we're coming from fear, we're coming from control. And so this is reflection I'm inviting you to do is look back in your mind's eye at a time in your life when you felt fully alive, fearless, scrappy, excited about an outcome, kind of just unafraid, uninhibited, and just fully alive. I'm guessing that this experience was probably when you were working with a group of people toward an outcome that you were really excited about, that you were really passionate about. Whatever it is, just bring it to your mind right now and think about like, what was my mindset? What did it feel like in my body? Really bring that into your body. It probably felt like a little bit like a high, you know? Like, I don't even want to go to sleep. I'm just really want to make this thing and like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so exciting. We can do so much. It's like there's such a like uh an aliveness and an optimism uh and joy. Whatever it is, just remember that memory. If your energy as of late has been stagnant or stuck, um, I want you to really reframe that memory you just had and overlay it onto today and look at what was that from? What was that feeling from? Because right now what the goal is to do is to really get back into that energy, that state. That is when we are a pure channel of universal, powers. Like it's like you become this like force that like channels toward all that you want in your life. And it's usually not about status or money or acclaim, other people. It's really about like a joy of being effective, like being able to be productive, being able to see your fruits of your labor, being able to see something that you have manifested in a physical form, to feel um, you are useful. All of these things that we feel joy around are usually just in our ability to contribute and see ourselves be effective. So, whatever this other memory gave you, I want you to consider today, right now, being in a similar role. It doesn't matter what it is. What is an opportunity in your life that will allow you to get into that groove once again? To just be simply productive, contribute, active, making something, being able to use your talents, your fruits, to make something happen, to be in that vein of power, whatever it is. That's the goal. That just getting back into that opens so many doors. It almost like it clears the tubes of your creative mind. It actualizes so much more in its wake, is just to be making things and to be active. So if you're like in a dead end or you're in stunted energy and you're like forcing something, jump out of that channel and think in this much scrappier, less highfalutin, perhaps, less polished, less official, way more about energy. If you can just get back into that energy, it will change a lot more in your life. All right. The next tool is a recipe. Um, I have talked a lot about a recipe for happiness, and I had a long time ago, I had an episode that was called Teaspoon of Happy. I'll briefly recap that recipe, but this is a different recipe. That recipe is if you are in a depressed state and if you are in a state where your brain is defaulting to all the bad things in your life, the best way to jumpstart your positive brain and get out of that is just like super strict repetition of 3 gratitudes a day, writing 3 gratitudes a day, writing, or actually, no, let's say 10. I'm going to say 10 gratitudes and 3 positive experiences from the last 24 hours. So recounting to yourself detail by detail 3 positive experiences. Bonus, if you can do something nice for other people at random, that is like a great, just like injection of positivity. And then exercise and being outside. That's it. You do that for 30 days, 40 days, your brain is a totally different brain. That's the recipe for happiness. Separate from that, this recipe is for creating a complete go with the flow, feminine energy, receptive state. It's quite simply, we approach every moment, ideally, with a state of non-judgment, patience, beginner's mind. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm not going to judge it. Non-striving, meaning I'm not going to force it. I'm not setting a goal. I'm not going to see if I'm doing it the best. Acceptance, meaning I welcome all that is. I accept all that is. And letting go. Letting go of whatever happens. Letting go of outcomes, letting go of bumps in the road. So I'll just list those all over again. Non-judgment, patience, beginner's mind, non-striving, acceptance, letting go. So all of those are very, very similar. They're shades of gray. But the net is you just observe, you witness, and you take a stance of neutrality. All right. The next tool, this is a weird one. I want you to imagine, just go into a meditative state instantly in your mind's eye right now with me. I want you to close your eyes and picture you are at the edge of a lake. And on the other side of the lake are figures in your life who are supportive, who love you, who are so embody all that is good to you. And they're standing there and they're waving to you. And now I want you to imagine around your belly is a rope that is tied. And that rope is tethered to something. And without thinking too much about it, I want you to turn around and look and see, what is the rope tethered to? What is holding you back? What is that thing? Whatever comes to mind, jot it down. I don't want to know what it is, just think about it. This is really just a meditation for picturing uh, maybe where you're blocked. I don't know. Sometimes when I do this kind of reflection, something will arrive and it'll be very unexpected. And as soon as I just allow myself to write on it, meditate on it, then I'll be like, huh, that is kind of a belief that has lingered. It's more of an opportunity to reflect, because the more we can work with what ifs, unconscious images, the more it just allows us to dialogue with ourselves and dialogue on like values that we hold or values that might be somebody else's that are holding us back. So that's that tool. It's a very weird one. All right, the next tool, divine feminine energy. This is a very strange tool, but it is for really rooting in your feminine energy, in your receptive energy, and nurturing that state of allowing. So when we're in that active type A energy, we're like becoming a work shovel, we're becoming like overactive and over goal oriented. And when we're in this other energy, we are being gentle and we are just trying to receive and we are being very nurturing. So this has a couple of different practices. Full disclosure, these are very, very woo-woo. This is full woo. Um, don't throw out all the rest of these tools just because this one is too extreme for you. But I'm going to offer you a couple of practices to get into this energy. The first of which is a strings meditation. So as I talked about with the rope, that visual, sometimes we have these kind of strings or threads that are attached to us, that are unbeknownst to us, that are tethered to other people. They're tethered to other people's beliefs, to things that people have said to us, relationships that were very conflicting, maybe a parental relationship where we disappointed somebody, a relationship where we were cast aside, somebody devalued us. So I think of these as these kind of like threads, these invisible threads that are stuck to our back that are keeping us clouded in some way. They're holding us back energetically. So I wanted to offer you, as part of this divine feminine energy tool, a meditation. So this is the meditation. Jot it down if you choose, but you would close your eyes. You see light coming all across your heart center, all across your back, flooding your whole body, just bright white light flooding your whole body. And then you ask gently that all energy that does not belong to you be returned to its rightful owner. And imagine scissors just cutting strings of light that are attached to you, that are not yours. Just imagine these scissors snipping all of these strings of light and they're falling away from your back. And you say, I return them their energy with love. That is the meditation. So if you do this like right before you go to sleep and you just imagine yourself flooded with bright white light, that's the strings meditation. If you're still with me, I have another meditation for you, equally woo. I would invite you to, this is a prayer of protection. I also wanted to recommend a crystal. I know, crystals. I'm talking about crystals now. I just became a crystal fan based on the telepathy tapes. And I have a very credible recommendation for a crystal that has protection from bad energy, protection from negative, whatever. It's a cleaning crystal, it's a charging crystal, um, black tourmaline. And you can find it on Etsy. I just bought a bunch of it. And if nothing less, it's pretty. So that's a great crystal recommendation. Okay, so this is my next prayer, an egg meditation. This is from a book that I just read that I loved. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But if you are a person who feels like there's negative energy coming into your body, maybe you get this like feeling of dread, of coldness, whatever it is, imagine you are surrounded by bright white light and just flooded by bright white light. And then imagine that you are protected by a mirrored egg that's enclosing you inside of this bright white light. I know that's bizarre, but inside of this mirrored egg, you say, I surround myself with all that is good and loving. Anything that is not of the light, go back to where you came from or join the light. Whatever version of that you want to write for yourself, that's the way I remember it. But I'll put a link to in the show notes to this book if you want to read more about it. I do that prayer if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm feeling weird or I see weird things, I will say that prayer and it just like makes me feel serene. Okay. And then last but not least, if you want to do a presence, exercise of any kind besides the hibiscus tea, whatever you want to do, create a nice ritual for yourself. I have like a little area in my house that is sort of like a collection of objects that I find beautiful and symbolic that just allows me to focus my energy and it kind of primes me for being in a meditative or reflective or creative headspace. And so I invite you to create the word altar kind of freaks me out, makes me think of like scary stuff. But if you want to make your own altar or creative space, it's a great way to just code that time that you dedicate to be present with yourself, to welcome that energy of inspiration. So those are my tools, my super woo tools. I hope that this is helpful to you. And whatever's going on, if you're in a state of fear, I know that the world is kind of topsy-turvy and it's hard to not panic and it's hard to not be overreactive. Um, but at the end of the day, if you were to think about yourself in just the room that you're just looking around in the room that you're in, you're safe, you are fine, everything is what it is, nothing is wrong, you are okay. That is really just a gentle reminder not to jump to the future, not to live in the future, not to project. We really just have to move 1 minute at a time, be in this present moment, because that's where we are. That's where we exist. It's the only thing you ever have at all is just this moment right now. So stay here, be embodied, bring in joy, creativity, energy, love. Come from that place. That is the most rewarding and powerful place to be, is in an active creative state. It's so easy to jump into other people's lives and what they're doing and really get stuck in a mindset of lack and regret and self-judgment. It's like that's such a reductive, wasteful energy, and it's also such a trap. So as soon as you start to find yourself doing that, come back into how do I charge myself? How do I get back into that vein of universal flow and power and creativity? That's where you need to stay. Be in what you can do, what you can create. Stay there. Don't go into other people's brains. Don't go into other people's stories. Stay here. So I send you my love. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you could leave a review on iTunes, that always helps. Or if you want to share it with someone that you think it could help, that helps me as well. In closing, I wanted to send a blessing to all of you for inner peace, for positive change. I invite you to look at this new year to come as a great open road of beginnings, amazing new beginnings. It is a time to live in joy. It is a time to appreciate blessings. May you have gratitude. May you have high vibrational, active, creative energy. And if you fall into that overactive, controlling energy, that energy of goal setting and manifestation and do, remember to relax into the other half. Like that half is actually way more powerful when we can just be and allow and kind of be guided by that current. That energy of allowing and receiving is where all of the breadth of inspiration lives. So tune into that. Don't do it all yourself. You don't have to do it all yourself. You can receive so much so quickly. You can receive a whole download of everything you want to know about your inspiration in like a millisecond. So don't forget to create the spaciousness to receive. I send you my love. Smile.